welcome back to the TFT Galaxies Championship. My name is TROTSKIJ, and I'm joined here by Crowan, Primal, and Becca. Doe will be joining us once again later in the broadcast. Primal, it's your first time on here today. What did you make of the first two games?
Oh man, BOBAE, so creative. You know, that reroll Jarvan Kate comp is something I've seen before a bit earlier in the set, but it's not something I've seen since then, so I'm pretty surprised to see him bring that out in a tournament. It makes me wonder if he actually prepared that specifically, knowing he might be playing Big Bang. So I love to see people go and pick out comps that no one's even thinking about and use them to dominate lobbies.
Love seeing new things on literally the last day that we get to see a competition on this set, and they're still keeping us on our toes. Becca, I know now we have seen another Big Bang Galaxy. Yesterday, we kind of had to soak it all in when it first appeared on the broadcast. What did you make of the adaptation from the players?
Yeah, I remember, I think it was Kyun talking about the reroll Kate comp being just way too high roll to actually go for consistently, and yeah, him bringing it out on the correct Galaxy was nice to see.
And in the end, I think a lot of people thought that BOBAE was going to take the win based on how he was playing that, but it was an Astral Sniper composition that came through for the victory. Crowan, we didn't see a lot of that yesterday, a bit more towards the end of the day, but would you consider it kind of one of the staple comps that most people go to, even if it is a little difficult to achieve at times?
Yeah, I think Astro Snipers is something on everyone's mind in this competition. Of course, getting Teemo 3, is just going to propel you to the victory. More often than not, we did see yesterday that wasn't the case at one point. Shaco too good, but Casey double piloted that amazingly in the last game.
Yeah, piloted that amazingly, and today will be the last day that we pilot a rocket ship here in Galaxies, because tomorrow we will be changing our fate. And ahead of the Fates showcase, our partners over in China did have a video prepared for us. Let's take a look. All I'm saying is if some kind of tunnel appeared in my room and some little legends tumbled down it into my presence, I'd be pretty happy. I know during rehearsal, Becca, we actually saw a little legend of yours, a doggo, running around. But how excited are you to experience the new set starting tomorrow with a full showcase?
I definitely got to play a couple games on PBE, and it is insanely fun. I think Riot did such a good job switching it up completely again, and the characters are so unique, and I just can't wait to play more.
Oh, yeah. And the showcases are a lot of fun. Becca knows, having participated in ones for the previous sets. Our 8 finalists that are competing today will be competing tomorrow to showcase the Fates set. But Crowan and Primal, I do want to get your thoughts on Fates 2 a bit. Primal, have you been playing it a lot?
I have. It's kind of just a fiesta right now because I have no idea what the synergies are or the unit effects, so I'm kind of just for funning it for now, but I agree with Becca. I love the theme. It feels good to be back on some sort of terrestrial landscape instead of out in the cold, dark space. And I think some of the synergies are really, really fun to play. I have a lot of fun with playing Mage, like Ahri dropping Spirit Bombs. Just feels super cool, so excited to dive in more.
I think one of the challenging things for all the TFT fans is balancing the excitement for Fates coming to be, but also giving the close out for the set that we have here today. Galaxies being what our current participants are playing on. And as far as the standings go, we've seen some people show out pretty effectively here at the top. No consistent winners grabbing the #1 spots, but still we know that Lev D has 16 points here at the top. A couple other players hoping to have a better fate in the next game game, Crowan. Is there any surprises as far as who is kind of hovering at the bottom, maybe?
Oh yeah, definitely. VOLTARIUX hovering at the bottom with 6 points right now is a huge surprise to, I think, a lot of people coming into day 2 today as one of the favorites to perhaps win this tournament. Going to need to see some improvements in performance from him in the next few games.
There are a lot of EU fans that are standing behind him, hoping that he will take the #1 spot. Another one, JUANZI, if we're looking at this player, Becca, he was able to pull a lot of victories yesterday. And it seems like today, even though he was able to make the top 4 in the second game, kind of a reliance going towards the mech as well as Space Pirates we saw before. Do you think that JUANZI will be able to turn it around and try and get some of that domination that he showed earlier in the lobby yesterday?
Well, he's definitely shown that he's capable of winning lobbies, so I don't think we can count him out, especially with the way the point system works. But yeah, definitely EU showing up big time. I mean, with the exception of Volt, maybe Caster Curse for everyone favoring him here. Just Lev and Devil, they're killing it.
And as far as the game to come, Becca, you and I are going to step away, but Crowan and Primal will be taking the reins as we go into game number 3.
Oh man, and what a way to take it away. We have a spatula full carousel with the Big Bang Galaxy, Primal. Oh man, what's going through your head when you see something like this?
What's going through my head is we're going to have at least several people forcing Cybers and trying to make Infiltrator Aurelia a thing, and at least one person is going to be going for Master Yi reroll. It's interesting, right? Because this is Big Bang, which already combines 3 galaxies, and then we also basically got Manatee Galaxy through this first carousel, so this is going to be a funny game.
True, we had last game, I believe it was the, Nicoverse, but just for ALPHAGO, but now it's Manatee for everybody on top of this. I don't think we've seen, we haven't, out of the first couple of games, anyone go for that Master Yi composition, but if you see a spat start here, you're definitely going to be looking towards that, or at least considering it. Cybers as well, though, as Cybers has been one of the compositions that people have been favoring a lot. Do you think that I guess you do think that we'll be seeing a lot more of that?
I think we'll be seeing a lot of it. I don't know if we'll be seeing a lot more because I think some players kind of had a hard game from trying to run Cybers super contested last time. And I think now everyone realizes because Cybers is so good on this Galaxy, it's going to be contested. So you might see some people try to pivot into things that counter Cybers. Like I'd like to see more people play Star Guardians. You could even choose to make a Star Guardian spat or a Protector spat if you want to try to snowball early. So I'm curious to see how people read the past few games and make adjustments.
True. I don't think we traditionally usually see either Star Guardian or Protector spats that much recently, at least from what I've noticed. Have you sort of seen the same?
Sometimes I see some weird stuff, like people run Protector Darius or Shaco early, just because those are actually really strong win streak units who you can make, and Protector Spat is not the greatest spat late game, but it'll help you save a lot of HP and generate a lot of income mid and early. So sometimes I see that. Star Guardian Spat, though, I agree, you see it less often. And then some people will just keep it simple and make a Force of Nature.
Oh, true. I think we'll definitely see a lot of Force of Nature this game, especially with that Treasure Trove component of Big Bang. A lot of loot orbs will be definitely seeing some more spats. JUANZI, though, as we see here, has the good Cyber start, but it's not a composition that he has really played too much, though. I wonder if he's comfortable with that or not.
Yeah, he's got to be comfortable with it as a high-level player. You know, I was actually a little disappointed to see JUANZI play mech last game because I don't think mech is particularly good on Treasure Trove, because I think a lot of comps utilize items better because there's not that many different carries in mech. I guess if you get good Shaco items, he can kind of be your third carry. So I'd like to see JUANZI sort of read the lobby a little bit better and sort of play something that he is maybe not quite as good at, but is more appropriate for the complexion of the lobby. But yeah, what do you feel about sort of the composition choices he's been making? Because we've only really seen him play 2 comps.
Yeah, there's a lot of day one, just mech and pirates. We did see him play 1 game of Star Guardians, but even that seemed a little bit shaky, at least to me. He was at 4 HP, about to go 8th, but barely hung on. I believe it was a 7-round win streak to get up to 3rd. He has shown that he is willing to play other compositions, but still maybe isn't as comfortable as he would like to be. Cyber composition, though, I was talking a little bit earlier to Doa about. It's one that's pretty easy to pilot. There's not too many things that you're going to get confused used on there. And of course, all these players are going to know how to run these things, being, top level players and representing their regions at the World Championships here.
For sure. And right now, man, he's hitting these cybers. So at least for the mid game, he's a cybers player. We'll see if he chooses to leave that later in the game due to either comfort or too many people playing it. But generally with cybers, if you can get the early Leona and the Fiora, wow, that's a really great signal. Oh, wow. Okay. So he chooses to just play the Vayne straight up, which I actually like. It's easy enough to get the Lucian. You're not going to leave the Lucian until you're looking to run 6 cybers anyway. And even by then, you might already have Aurelia and Echo. I like this play because he gives him Sniper, gives him a stronger early board, and he goes level 5, which you can do on Treasure Trove variants, and just try to win streak as hard as humanly possible. So I like it, JUANZI. Keep it up.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is so aggressive. I don't know if we've actually seen anyone go to level 5 on 2-2 this entire tournament. Usually people are going to 5. It's going to be after the Stage 2 carousel, maybe one round before, like on 2-3 here. But JUANZI doing it so early, even opting to sell the Lucian pair in order to do that. I guess he really prioritizes this win streak here. Is struggling to see whether he wants to play the Graves or the Poppy, the Vanguard synergy over just a tier 2 unit, but is choosing to sell and hopefully even make Econ. Wow, it's just actually so much gold here.
Yeah, he's so rich. He's so rich. And yeah, that was an interesting decision. Arguably, the Graves is a little bit better. It kind of depends on how much physical damage there is early, because Poppy doesn't really do all that much at 1-star. But this allows him to make money, so it's actually not as all-in as one would think. The beautiful thing about Big Bang and Treasure Trove is you get so much gold that you can afford to play aggressively and not put yourself all in. So I like this play from JUANZI. I like it a lot.
Definitely. I think it's a bit calculated. If you're going to want to just play strongest board, not care about econ, then you might play that Graves, but thinking, okay, I'm strong enough to still win streak, being at level 5 before everybody else, so I can choose to sell the Graves, play Vanguards, which is still a solid synergy, and be rewarded kind of in both ways there.
Yeah. Crone, did BOBAE just make a Rebel spat straight up? I think that's what we saw.
I believe so. That is interesting. We see 4 Rebel synergy on that left-hand side there. BOBAE committing super early to that. Do you like committing a Rebel spat this early in the game?
I do not like committing Rebel spat this early in the game, but because here's the thing with Rebels. It's just not really an S-tier comp. It really struggles late game versus some of the more traditional comps, and particularly on this Galaxy, where the more traditional comps are going to hit their items and probably their units as well. I think he's going to fall off. That said, BOBAE, he knows he needs multiple games in order to hit that 18-point threshold. So he only really needs to top 4 from here. He doesn't need a first necessarily. So I think it's a decent play for a top 4, maybe a top 3 if you high roll the Jinx and the Gangplank items. But yeah, this is pretty unorthodox. This is pretty different, and I like it.
Speaking of high rolling, BOBAE here has 8 Ziggs at 2-5, so probably going to hit that in the very near future. Not going to be, that Shaq and Kobe style composition that we saw before that blue buff change, but still 1 blue buff there. It's going to be pretty strong, especially once BOBAE finds a Rumble as a bit of a frontline and for that Demolitionist buff. Going to be huge there.
Yeah. And you know what? I was wrong, Crone, because if he already has this many Ziggs, he figures, all right, I'm just going to play a Ziggs 3 early game, and maybe I can streak so hard that late game it just doesn't even matter that I'm playing one of the weaker comps. So you know what? I think this is actually a really smart play and shows that he's actually just willing to play what he's given. I'm pretty sure BOBAE didn't go into the Big Bang planning to play Kate reroll last game, but that's what he hit. He's flexible as a player, so he can sort of just pivot accordingly.
I think that's a super good point. I think the flexibility of BOBAE here is being demonstrated immensely. I'm sure you didn't go into those games prepping for that Caitlyn. You didn't go into this game prepping, oh, I'm going to get 8 Ziggs, by 2-5, but here we are. Also a good point that you brought up about not needing to first place yet, not at 18 points, just needs to get some solid placements to be able to get that first later on. But I mean, BOBAE has definitely shown that he can, win games, came really close to it last game, which is why I say that. Of course, he didn't end up winning, but still has that capability for sure.
Mm-hmm. And Crone, one thing that's interesting here is, first of all, JUANZI, he did drop around. JUANZI's actually not that strong. You can see he's even struggling right here where BOBAE is level 4 and almost beating him. I do think he's going to lose. But BOBAE, despite him win streaking, is choosing to stay at 4. presumably because he wants to slow roll or hyper roll and hit that Ziggs. Maybe he's also looking to hit the Malphite. So it's interesting that he chose not to lean into his win streak there, because he could have generated a lot of gold going into this round.
He definitely could have. Maybe would have been more worth it, because even on level 5, like, you're probably going to hit that Ziggs 3 eventually. Being on 4 does give you, you know, that 15%, I believe, more chance to find 1-cost units in the shop, because it goes down to 40 at level 5. But, like, I don't think the Malphite 3 is something that, you know, personally I would commit for. Once you hit that Ziggs, you can push levels, find those jinxes, go to level 8 and 9. We were talking about the fact that this Rebel composition does struggle to find wins, but one of the win conditions is going to level 8 and level 9 and finding like a Gangplank 2 to really carry your late game there. So I'm not sure if I quite agree with this from BOBAE, but it's still working out decently well. Still has about 40, you know, almost 50 gold. Now he does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. You know, not only is the Malphite 3 not super impactful, and he only had, I think, 4 Malphites at the time. In addition to that, he had a huge win streak that he could have carried forward. So yeah, he is going to hit the Ziggs now. He did some re-rolling, but it's kind of a weird play because he's got 6 rebels right now, which is awesome. But he's going to be able to win streak now. He could have been win streaking already and made a lot more gold. But I think he's still in a really comfortable position. You're never mad about 98 HP.
No, you're not. Going up against ALPHAGO here. ALPHAGO is the only player to still be on 100 HP, fully win streaking. That Death Blade Lucian 2 with red buff as well might even beat the 6 Rebel early power spike here we see from BOBAE. It's gonna be close.
Yep. Lucian's a good unit.
Okay.
Not good enough though. So I guess him hitting that 3-star is basically the difference maker in this particular fight. But yeah, ALPHAGO wins level 6, right? So BOBAE is actually under leveled relative to some of the people we're facing. The first time he was under leveled and he got punished, but not this time. So he's still in a pretty comfortable spot. And I guess, Crone, when you look at the Ziggs, do you think that's just a unit you keep all games, sort of like you used to in the old Shaq and Kobe comp?
I think so. The only argument would be to perhaps drop it for an Aurelion Soul 2, but I think that's only really if you have Ludens. Like, with the blue buff, it's not going to be insanely powerful for an Aurelion Soul, and I think Ziggs will get more value out of that. He's going to be casting very often. You're going to have Demolitionist synergy in there, so he'll be stunning out, you know, a lot of frontline units there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting to me that BOBAE's also choosing not to commit a red buff right now, just for the win streak. I know that if you're playing this comp, you ideally want 2 chains, one for the red buff and one for the Guardian Angel. But that said, you know, in this Galaxy, it's pretty easy to get another chain. So I'd actually like to see him consider just slamming a red buff for the Jinx, because presumably he's not going to be making Morellos, otherwise he would have already made it. So I'm curious to see why he's holding on to items.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, the aggressiveness of slamming the Rebel spat, you would think that the red buff would be slammed. Maybe just thinking it's not value enough right now, and maybe if, you know, say theoretically he gets a sword from the next carousel, could make a GA for a bit of a better power spike right now, because you're not going to have any blasters to spread that red buff. Like we see SLOOPER here actually have that red buff on the Ezreal and the Graves for that blaster bonus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it looks like SLOOPER might be going for a Battlecast reroll game here. This is also a popular comp to go for when you get a spat. You make a early Battlecast spat, which is actually fantastic early because it allows you to get a 4 Battlecast. Extremely strong synergy in stage 2 and 3. But unfortunately, he hasn't hit any Kog'Maws yet. So he's really far from hitting 9 Kog'Maws. He's going to have to rely on a Lowy, Nocturne, and Malphite to do work. But the good news is he's one off of the Graves 3. So he'll have the units to sort of carry until he eventually hits a Cog. And at this point, he might just say, you know what, we're not going to be hitting Cog 3 anytime soon. I'm just going to push levels after I hit my other 3 stars.
Yeah, I think that would definitely be what SLOOPER is going to lean towards. And I actually want to highlight just a small decision that SLOOPER made this game. He started the game off with a spatula on that Alawi. And what he's going to want to do here, assuming he is going to continue forward with this Battlecast line, is going to make that Battlecast spat on the Alawi to pop it off, you know, not have to find one more Alawi because he would have sold that initial one. So I think there's some really good minute decision making here that could end up going a long way if he's able to find that Alawi soon and start win streaking, because he does need to start win streaking soon. No Kog'Maw is a little unfortunate. He's already at 49 HP right now.
Yeah, and Slooper needs some big wins. He doesn't have that many points right now. He has 9, but other people are closing in on that 18-point threshold. So I think from this point, I'm glad that he's found a comp that he wants to commit to. But would like to see him play a little bit more with what he's given and look for a higher placement. Because now, if he starts low rolling and starts not hitting his units, he's going to struggle to get the points that he needs. But he did hit that Graves 3. He is going to stabilize, I think, off of that Graves 3. He can make the battle class spat, throw that on the Graves this round, and get it back off of Allow It for free. And Graves is super, super good with battle class spat. Can do a lot of damage and really, really tanky. So I think he's going to stabilize now.
Yeah, I would hope so. Slooper is interesting.
Zephyr Blitz.
Okay. Yeah, man. It's going to actually probably prove to be detrimental in terms of losing this round here. JUANZI with those cybernetics actually already committed to a Blade Master Vayne there. Blade Master and Last Whisper. Graves blinding her out for a little bit there, but Slooper takes another loss, and a pretty big one at that. So now I was going to highlight the fact that Slooper is comfortable with going Battlecast. He went Battlecast in game number 1 and got 5th place there. Hopefully be able to get a little bit better here, but man, it's still looking rough, Primal. What do you like? What do you think when you're in this position and you're 40 HP before Wolves, maybe even going to be lower potentially? Would you want to have seen him spend gold more aggressively to find that Kog'Maw earlier, or kind of what direction would you have gone there?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he's going into the creep round. He has a huge loss streak, so he's probably not going to spend now. But the moment he gets to 4-1, he needs to drop some gold and push some levels. I don't think he should go for Cog at this point. He should just probably try to pick up the Alawi, also pick up the Malphite or Nar2, whichever one he hits. And then he wants to get 6 Battlecast in ASAP. The saving grace for him is that he does have a Battlecast spat, so he does not need Urgot in order to go 6 Battlecast. He just needs the Cassiopeia and the Victor, and Urgot would be a nice high roll. And then I think he can stabilize from that point. But unfortunately, with this amount of HP and not amazing items, I think he's playing for top 4 already.
Yeah, I think so, which might end up being okay. No one's within threat of ending it all right here. We will at least see a game number 4. Levdi, who is at the top of the lobby in terms of standings, is only at 16 points right now. But SHOEMAKER kind of taking a page out of BOBAE's book from the last game. This is very interesting. Is this going to work out as well as BOBAE's comp did?
I don't know. I mean, I think his items are a little bit better, actually, because I think generally when you're playing this comp, you want like something like a Runon's Deathblade Kate is super strong when she's at 3 stars. She just hits like an absolute truck. He already has the Runons there. He has an extra bow in case he just chooses to go to Giant Slayer or something else. So I think he's actually in a comparable spot. I don't know. Honestly, I don't play this comp enough to know sort of what happens if you don't hit all 5 3-stars like BOBAE did last game. I'm pretty sure you can't take a first or even a top 2 without them. And he's a little bit farther away. But I think his items are a little bit better than BOBAE's were.
Yeah, I do think so. I'm not very familiar with this, or piloting this comp myself, but choosing to make double Rage Blade on the Ashe there and taking a huge hit. Slooper spent enough gold to find those 3 stars, has made a red buff and a shiv on the Kog'Maw, and that dealt so much damage. That's really good for Slooper to stabilize, but really bad for SHOEMAKER to take that large hit there. Has another item.
I don't...
Oh no, actually maybe that's...
Oh, he has an item!
Go ahead.
SHOEMAKER, pick it up! Pick it up! Oh, I was hoping it was a sword. You ever have that moment where it's like you got so many items and you forgot one mid-fight, and then you pick it up and you realize it's the one you need? I have those moments for sure. But it's great that SHOEMAKER is starting to hit his stuff. It's kind of weird to me that he slammed double Rage Blade, but I guess he's thinking, okay, if I can get a Shojin's on this Ashe and just keep her safe, she's going to perma-stun entire teams. Triple Zephyr, you hate to see that.
Triple Zephyr, wow.
Oh man,
it hits so many of the good units there. It hits the Ashe with the 2 items, it hits the Jarvan and the Rakan frontline. Oh man.
That's a money triple Zephyr. As SHOEMAKER at this point, you just gotta focus on not getting tilted, because it's like, what can you even do there, right? I doubt Levdi was even focusing him. It's just the thing is, when you have triple Zephyr, you're guaranteed to hit at least one good thing. So that was a bit of a low roll for SHOEMAKER. Pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, definitely. But I love the transition over here to watch Lev D. Lev D has played so well in the first couple of games and is continuing to do so right now in game number 3 at the top of the lobby on a 9-win streak right now. Push levels very aggressively. Still has 40 gold, level 8 on 4-3, triple Zephyr. Lev D's putting himself in a spot where he could win this lobby potentially.
He could. My only concern with Lev D, and I don't think it's a mistake to play this way, given that he already has 16 points, he only needs a few more, is that it's going to be hard for him to take a thirst because he has triple Zephyr. I'm guessing he just got way too many belts and too many cloaks, but he doesn't have many swords or bows to actually itemize damage on Vayne. So I think he's going to start to fall off heavily late game unless he gets a really, really good set of items from the next PvE round. But again, Lev D, he understands what his win con, which is I don't need to win, I just need to make a few points. Honestly, he doesn't even need to top 4. So I love the way that Lev D is playing right now, just saving as much HP as possible to guarantee the chance that he gets the additional 2 points he needs to unlock his win condition.
Definitely. I really like that insight, because maybe, Lev D will fall off late game and wouldn't be able to get a win, but he doesn't need a win right now. He just basically needs a couple more points and then be able to win during the next game. There is still the fact that this is treasure trove, so you'll get a lot of components from the Raptors round. He does pick last in the carousel, so no sword yet. I believe he picked up a vest there on that Soraka. Has a gangplank in the shot, but doesn't need that in this composition here. Finds Aurelia though, that's good. Oh, actually, there he has Aurelia too, never mind. He's actually super ahead.
Yeah, he is. And he has 2 Force of Natures, actually. Man, that's he could just pretty much throw units at the problem. He's like, all right, I don't have good items, but I'm just gonna keep throwing bodies at you. I'm gonna win through a war of attrition. So I like the fact that Lev D is just playing around the fact that he's honestly kind of low rolling in terms of comp and matching comp to items. But I think he's doing some creative stuff. Like, in addition to having the triple Zephyr, he's also playing a Blitzcrank. So, I mean, if you're his opponent and you look at his board, you're like, I'm not even going to try to outposition this guy, because no matter what, I'm going to get screwed. So Lev D, not only playing for his win condition, which is just he needs 2 points, also being a psychological terrorist for the rest of the lobby.
Oh, definitely. Like, you're gonna position against, Lev D specifically. It's gonna mean you're gonna ruin your position for everybody else just so much. So, not wanting to put too much investment there. Zephyr is gonna be hitting no matter what. Even has a Fizz too to just chill on the bench. Thresh is gonna be pulling that in. It's pretty fortunate that he is able to have hit a Thresh at this point, have that Aurelia too. Of course, he's a couple of Vaynes away from tier 2 there. But still, like, really, really good way to play the game so far with the items that he did get.
Absolutely, and it's kind of funny because he is contested here. So there is also the problem of, will you hit any Vaynes at this point of the game? So I think at this point, Lev D is probably just going to look to not focus so much on the comp and what synergies he wants, because he can pretty much fit whatever he needs. And I expect to see him throw some random units that he hits, like random 4 costs and 5 costs. If you roll down and you hit a Jhin, we're playing a Jhin, right? Because it doesn't really cost him anything in terms of synergies, and just secure the highest placement he can. So really creative. I wonder what his plan is for that tier and that chain. I guess he figures maybe I can make some nice utility items like a Redemption, which is super good in Cybers. So yeah, he's showing how to play a low roll basically.
Yeah, definitely. Lev D, actually, speaking of Jhin, had a couple of Jhins in the last shot, bought them, rolled again, but ended up selling them, so isn't going to want to quite go that route. We'll see what items that Lev D gets from these Arc Raptors, because it's so important, talking about the need of BF swords. Is he going to get one here? Is this Vayne going to actually be able to be itemized well enough to carry? We'll find out in just a second here.
Ooh, let's see. We got bow, we got another belt, rod. Oh no, these items suck.
They really do. You hate to see it if you're Lev D right now. Do you slam like Rage Blade on Vayne? Like, what do you do at this point with these items?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you just throw up your hands. You say, we're making lockets. I'm going to throw a Rage Blade on Vayne maybe and try to get another decent item off of Carousel. I'd like to see him make a Frozen Heart and actually just put it on. I would like to see it make a Frozen Heart and just put it on Fizz and play Fizz, but I guess he can't fit Fizz in if he wants to keep 4 Chrono. So Redemption makes a lot of sense too. But this is like the thickest, tankiest comp I've ever seen, but has 0 damage whatsoever.
Yeah, unfortunate. Making the Titan's Resolve and that Lucian there. These items are so unfortunate. VOLTARIUX, though, playing that Xayah Shredder Blademaster composition, and it looks so strong, actually. A lot of 3 stars there, and VOLTARIUX took that round super decisively.
Yeah, and VOLTARIUX, he's been having an uncharacteristically poor day so far. Nice to see him rallying. He's up there, 2nd place in HP. You know, as Mort noted, comps like this that are only slightly better than, you know, the more meta non-reroll comps are not necessarily optimal in Big Bang. However, if you hit the comp early enough, you can sort of snowball and then go late, find random 5 costs, get a Thresh 2, and make a strong bench. So I'm curious to see how VOLTARIUX makes sure that his comp keeps pace with everyone else in the lobby.
Yeah, we will see. Checking back in with BOBAE here, though. Ooh, not really putting in the unit that he wanted, I believe. Maybe wanted to put in a Fizz instead, not sure. But either way, this Ziggs now has 3 items and is only a Jinx 1 with a Blademaster Spatula and a Runans. That's not going to be super optimal as we see VOLTARIUX again, but this time decisively taking down BOBAE. BOBAE dropping at 20 HP. A little bit worrying right now. Like, does have a Gangplank, but not a lot of gold, though.
Yeah, you know, I think this just shows how, you know, a comp that used to be good, it can fall off majorly, and there's a reason why Kobe and Shaq doesn't get played anymore. I think when it was super OP, it was because you could put double blue buff on Ziggs and he just perma ult, and it was the most obnoxious thing ever. Thank God Riot removed that ability, but now he can't really carry late game, right? Because he just doesn't ult often enough to keep up with, you know, upgraded 4 costs and 5 costs. Additionally, although I don't hate GP having Rebel in center, so he gets his ult off as quickly as possible, but now he's forced to keep him clustered with a team.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit confused here. BOBAE was running like 8 Rebels for a round there. Didn't really realize, I think, that he had the Rumble still in and didn't need that because he already had the Demolitionist synergy. And this round, oh man, almost actually getting taken out there by KC double. Astro Snipers again. It's just, I wonder if it's too... I guess greedy for BOBAE to rush 9, because he could have accomplished what he does or what he has right now at level 8, and maybe rolling a Jinx 2 would have been important.
Agreed. I think he definitely could have looked for the Jinx 2. At the end of the day, he still needs other carries besides this Ziggs. I think he baited himself a little bit by getting the Gangplank, but you know, he doesn't really get all that much from leveling in terms of synergies here. So, you know, it's really expensive to go level 9. And you have to think about, okay, that's 66 gold that I'm going to invest. Is that better invested in my current board? And I think the answer in this case would have been yes, probably. But so this comp is already hard to sort of win lobbies with. When you also have items on suboptimal units like a Ziggs late, it's really, really hard to even top 4. But it's still possible.
Yeah,
there it is.
Possible. Fortunately for BOBAE, hits the Jinx 2. Probably actually puts a Star Guardian Spatula on Jinx, so she'll be able to deal true damage. That might be something that can save BOBAE here.
Yeah, I think that would be a good move. Make sure that she doesn't have any issue with Bramble Vest or just high resistance. And yep, there he goes. He slams it. I think at this point, he's just trying to make whatever he can work because he realizes his comp has fallen off relative to other comps. And unfortunately, he never hit a Guardian Angel for Gangplank. So Gangplank is struggling to get multiple ults off. It looks in this fight, was he going to win? Okay, he's in there. Is that it? Oh, is that top 4?
Yeah.
No, it's top 5. Okay,
Not
but you should
quite.
still be pretty happy with that considering the spot he was in.
Oh, definitely. JUANZI, though, going 8th place. A little bit reminiscent of his, last couple of games yesterday. A little bit of a struggle here. SHOEMAKER, ALPHAGO as well. Man, this lobby is really, really kind of turned on its head, but something that is pretty consistent is that the European players are doing so well. All 3 of them are top 3 in this lobby right now, Primal. What do you make of that?
Is there like a chant for Europeans? Like, you know how you have USA? It's like EU.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound very cool, but yeah, Europe, they're really good. And if people want to say EU greater than NA in Twitch chat, it's kind of hard to clap back at that. But really impressive performance from all three of these players. VOLTARIUX we saw dominate day 1, and now he's sort of hitting his stride day 2. Lev D. TROTSKIJ, despite having a pretty low roll game, still in first place. I would actually love to see what he transitioned his board into, because he's managed to not fall off tremendously. So the flexibility of the European players really coming into play.
Oh, definitely. You cannot count out Brazil, though, with SLOOPER. SLOOPER has managed to get 8 battle casts, and that's something we were talking about a decent amount yesterday with battle cast synergy. You're not really going to be dominantly winning lobbies unless you get 8 battle cast. We see SLOOPER right now on a 6-win streak, has an Urgot 2, didn't go for that Kog'Maw 3 like you said earlier, but instead chose to push levels, and I think he's in a great spot right now in this lobby.
I totally agree. And in addition to having the Urgot 2, he found a blue buff, which is awesome because it'll allow Urgot to get even more ults. And Urgot, if he just gets to a point where it doesn't even matter who his team is, he just 1v9s. If you position him correctly, he'll just keep ulting, keep getting mana cost reductions, and becomes a huge threat. Now he goes 9, he gets Fizz in there, so he gets Infiltrator as well. I love the spot that SLOOPER is in. He could potentially win the lobby from this point. So really well played by SLOOPER.
I would definitely agree. Wait, KC double hit Teemo 3 again? What?
How? Is he just uncontested every game? Like, what's going on here?
I guess so. I think actually he is uncontested for multiple games in a row. KC double showing that prowess on the Astro Sniper's composition to get to a point where he can reroll so much. He just hits that Teemo 3 so consistently. I feel like saying hitting Teemo 3 inconsistently shouldn't be in the same sentence, but it is here for KC double.
See, in Big Bang, any dream can come true. Even Teemo 3, me no scout, me no pivot. So I guess that's doubles his go for strategy, because look, if everyone else was playing Cybers, right, Astro Snipers appears to be completely open. Teemo at 3 is incredibly strong and pretty much just one-shots whoever he comes in contact with. There are threats to him, though. If SLOOPER manages to get a nice Urgot ult on the Teemo, then it's the fight's doomed immediately. So I'd like to just see SLOOPER use really good positioning to take care of things. But right now, the Teemo 3, he has a Karma, he has a whole team surrounding him. He's in a pretty safe position.
Yeah. All these compositions are so strong at this point here as we see KC double go up against VOLTARIUX. EU versus EU right now. Teemo 3 is going to be enough to... Oh man, that was a huge Gnar ult there.
Oh,
with the
so
Teemo
good.
Shroom synergy, it takes out pretty much everything. A little bit of a miss on those Shrooms there, but it does not matter. These items are so good too. Double Giant Slayer, Trap Claw on the Jhin, got that blue buff, Ludens Morellas on the Teemo, and even the Ashe has a RFC Shojins. Like, this is just all so good. It's really panning out for double here.
Yeah, and in addition to all that, he has a Zephyr Blitz, right? And late game, that's a huge deal. Very hard to position around. To your point, the double Giant Slayer Jhin might actually even be out-damaging the Teemo at this point, particularly versus some of those tanky units like an Alawi 3. So this is actually a kind of a dream item scenario for double, and what you would look for when you're playing on a map like Big Bang.
Yeah, definitely. We have our final 2 here, but it won't end. Both players have high enough HP. Oh,
This
man.
Teemo, man. Oh
It's
my
so
god, this
insane.
Teemo.
Look at the shrooms.
This Teemo is insane.
Man,
Okay,
that
so
is
it turns out
insane.
Teemo 3 is pretty good, Crone.
Yeah.
Kind of does a lot of damage. What do you do from this point if you're SLOOPER?
So a couple of things. The Jhin damage, as you said, it was strong. The Jhin damage actually matched the Teemo damage there, even though it's big numbers as we see when all the shrooms fly out though. But if you're SLOOPER, I think it goes back to exactly what you said earlier. Urgot positioning. Urgot has to be able to hit this Teemo, but look at KC Double's positioning right here in protecting all those units. Even has Ashe not in the backline, so she is specifically in front of where Urgot would pull Teemo. This is an insane position choice here, and I think it might be why if doubles win, or if KC double wins this lobby, it might be why.
Exactly. And, you know, I think Slooper realizes his win condition, which is get the Fizz and the Nocturne on this Teemo. The one weakness of Slooper of doubles positioning right now is that he does have all his carries in one place. But unfortunately, the Teemo just nukes everything and no one gets to play. Oh, is that Urgot with the pull? Urgot with the pull! Okay, I don't think that's enough, though, because Jin is just as much of an issue. And it looks like Double is going to be able to take this game.
Man, that was crazy. The exact thing that needed to happen did, but it still wasn't enough. Jin was just so much of a threat, and the Ashe there at the end as well. Man, that was so well played there by KC Double.
Yeah, and you know, Slooper, he played super well as well, right? We saw that he had like an Ezreal as an item holder for Cog. He was in a weird spot of having like 7 or 8 Alawi's and no Kog'Maws, but he decided, you know what? I don't need Cog 3 to win this game. Let me just push levels, recover from this point, and win struck to a second. So really well played by both players.
Oh, definitely. Counting that, you know, Slooper still very much has a chance in this event. Just, you know, going to 40 HP so low, but maintaining that, you know, just composure in rerolling, hitting what you need to, it's just so good. We're going to check out a couple of highlights here from those previous games. I think the first one here is BOBAE. Oh, no, actually, it's going to be ALPHAGO. With those cybernetics, and the Lucian here is just so strong. But BOBAE on the other side, oh, actually it is BOBAE. He does have the blue buff on the Ziggs, just from ALPHAGO's perspective here.
Yeah,
but man, yeah, that Ziggs super strong.
It's what we saw but flipped. Yeah, there we go. It's what we saw
exactly.
but flipped. So it's a little confusing, but yeah, nice transition into 6 Rebels by slamming the Rebel spat early to help win streak. And then VOLTARIUX, who we were talking about playing Shredder this game, which didn't do super well the previous game, but popped off. He hit the Xayah 3 on time, was able to sort of just melt through teams like butter, secure a nice top 4, which should give him some confidence back. So solidly played from VOLTARIUX overall.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, yeah, we didn't really highlight a couple of placements there for the 3rd and 4th, but I believe it was VOLTARIUX in 4th, and, or actually, no, VOLTARIUX in 3rd, and LevD was 4th there from that last game, but Blademaster is still seemingly pretty good. See BOBAE there actually eliminating ALPHAGO with that Jinx Star Guardian spat there. A really great tech decision, I think, actually.
Yeah, and poor Jinx, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. You know, she's getting Infiltrator spats thrown on her, Blade Master spats. No one wants to prioritize Jinx items, which I think is correct. But people are making it work, and we see this last fight, despite Slooper understanding his win condition and getting the Urgot on the Teemo, it's just not enough, given that there's multiple carries on on KC Double's side. And KC Double bringing it home for France and EU. Really solid performance from the 16-year-old prodigy.
An interesting thing to think about is that if KC Double had gotten 2nd or 1st in game number 1, this would be over right now. KC Double just got back-to-back 1st places, is going to be on the top of the standings right now with 23 points, man. This is so insanely well played by Europe right now being the top 2.
Yeah, and this next game is going to be super interesting, right? Because now there are 2 people who can potentially get a 1st. You know, if there's only one person that can get a 1st, maybe what other people do in the lobby is they try to deny that person units, because all that matters is not allowing that person to hit their 1st place win condition. But at this point, there are 2 people. It's really hard to grief 2 people at once. So at this point, everyone else is kind of at the mercy of LevD and KC Double.
Definitely, but we'll be moving into the next game soon. I'll be stepping out, but I'll be back later. Primal, take it away with Doa. Hope you have a fun next game.
I'm sure we will. Doa, we always have fun casting TFT, don't we?
That's right, absolutely. We play a lot of games in the same lobbies. We discuss it a lot as well off of the well, outside of the league client, I suppose. But man, 3 games down. Who knows how many to go? But it's getting exciting now, right? Because at this point, we have 2 people who, with the 1st place, could win the whole thing. That would be KC Double 61, of course, and LevD TROTSKIJ, and that's 2 EU players. I guess if you're a EU fan, you're happy about that as we go into game number 4. But that last game was crazy. Like, Big Bang is producing some of the most insane games I think I've ever seen in Galaxies. It's a lot to handle, but we're going back to a sense of semi-normalcy, Primal, with Plunder Planet, it looks like.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we're not getting 3 galaxies in one. We're just getting 1 galaxy, which I guess is okay.
I guess so.
I guess
We'll take it.
if you insist, Riot. But yeah, I think in Plunder Planet, you're going to be forced to play more aggressively again, so you can generate
Right.
as much gold as possible and not fall behind. So again, I'd like to see these players sort of adjust their play style. I don't think you can just hard force a comp on this galaxy. I think it's much, much riskier because if you're waiting on combining items or buying units, you're going to fall behind. So I think this is, again, a
100%.
galaxy where flexibility is king.
Yeah, I agree completely. This is one of those galaxies where like you can't do that lost streak style because you're just not going to be able to keep up. Ooh, how about a Vayne out of the first one of the first orbs
Okay.
for Lev D. TROTSKIJ? That's normally when you get the 3 cost, you're like, sweet, 3 gold. But that's one that I would consider keeping, and that's a good reason to. You found the Caitlyn too. Sniper buff
Yeah.
online already.
It looks like you and Lev D are on the same page about that. He does have a glove, which is super good on Vayne because you eventually want it to become a Last Whisper. And if you get 2
Right.
gloves, you can make Last Whisper in Infinity Edge. As you noted, though, she is a 3 cost, so she's a bit expensive to hold. If Lev D doesn't see good items here, like bows or swords, I do expect him to look to just sell the Vayne instead and pick up some 1
Yeah.
cost that he can 2-star, so he has a stronger early game board.
Yeah, might as well hold it. See if you get the items to support it, like you're saying. But I'm just wondering if we're going to see this all end right now. The pressure is on for Lev D and Double 61, and that for SLOOPER to get second last game was so massive because with a first he would have had enough points to be in contention to win the whole thing as well. But by getting second, he didn't get enough points because there's that drop off, from first to second. So that's a little bit heartbreaking in that. Even if he does great this game, even if he gets first this game, he's still going to have to play at least another one if he wants to win it.
And that's sort of what I love about this format. It makes you sweat a little, right? So if you're
It
SLOOPER,
does.
you're not just worried about your own play. You're worried about the play of the 2 guys who can win the game right now. So if I'm SLOOPER, I'm
Yeah.
spam picking items on carousel. I'm coordinating the whole lobby to deny and grief these other guys because he knows his dream could end right now if Lev D or KC Double pop off.
Yeah, and that's definitely what we're going to start seeing. That's like a really good thing to bring up is that at this point, we're going to start to see players get targeted. The rest of the lobby is going to do everything they can to make sure that Double 61 and Lev D can't win it this time. They want their chance too. So that'll bring out some interesting stuff as well, I'm sure. I was surprised to see Battlecast do as well as it did, but when you hit that 8 Battlecast, that's just so strong.
Now, this is an interesting decision by Lev D to just level and play this board. I actually don't think this board is very strong. He has no 2-stars. He doesn't even have pairs to hit. I guess he figures, look, I don't have any pairs, so there's no point staying at 4 to hit anything. Let me just preserve HP as much as possible and ensure that I can at least kill a few units to generate gold from the plunder. But yeah, it's an interesting decision. I do think it's correct, but I think Lev D's in a kind of an awkward spot, and he's doing his best. But yeah, that's good. He won, so kudos to him.
Yeah, we take those for sure. I mean, just having the Vayne, I think, is what's kind of saving that early game. There's a Caitlyn too, so that is a really nice upgrade, actually. Yeah, throw that back in, and now that you've got a win, you've got a chance to stabilize. So what started out kind of rough, looking a little bit better for Lev D now. Going to move on to our winner from last game, winner of 2 games in a row. Remember, you need to get the win after you get 18 points. So the question is, can Double 61 do it this time?
Yeah, Double 61,
16. Yeah.
absolutely insane, at 16 or any age, I guess, for that matter. And he didn't actually have that dominant of a performance yesterday. I think he just sort of snuck in top 4 after having some pretty difficult games early. And I think you mentioned, earlier yesterday that he is a player who is really clutch in tournaments, right? In the EU qualifier, he didn't have awesome games to start off, and then he came back and slammed the rest of the games to qualify. And here, he just seems to get better over time. It might be due to the fact that he's sort of a researcher, right? He's someone who studies the game, studies other players, and just gets better over time. So that might be what we're seeing now. He just has a really good tournament late game.
Maybe kind of has to read the lobby a little bit. He did get better as the game went on yesterday as well, where he finished really strong with a 1 and a 2 that got him 2 today. So he does seem to kind of power up. He's kind of like a little bit of a Saiyan of the lobby, where you start out non-Super Saiyan, take some hits, eat a sensu bean or two, and then like suddenly it's time to go Super Saiyan, and you got to power up, and that's going to take at least 3 episodes to power up completely. So that's the equivalent of, you know, maybe like 3 games of TFT. So it makes sense. He's like on
Right.
Goku track for sure.
He is, but he's got to get the Kamehameha out this game, ideally.
That's right.
Because he doesn't have 5 episodes to power up because Lev D. TROTSKIJ is breathing down his shoulder. Right now, he is lose streaking because his board is not the greatest board. Generally, Brawler starts are one of the weaker frontline starts, so it's to be expected. But he looks like he's actually setting up to potentially go Star Guardians because he does have the Syndra pair, he does have a J4 already, and I think he had an Ionic Spark, which is not bad with a comp.
Yeah, I think he's just kind of looking for that second protector. And there's a Nico with a chain vest, so you can definitely use that if you can find it.
He can definitely use that.
He's going to try to get over to it. Oh,
I'm surprised people are not
steals it
pinging
away.
stuff on Carrot. Yeah, sorry about that.
Does anyone
There you
listen
go.
if
Yep.
that actually happens, though? Yeah,
I think we both know the answers to that.
I think so.
So he did pick up the belt, so that's a really good protector item. I think he's got some direction now. He's going to hold on to those Syndras. The only issue for him right now is his economy is going to be pretty bad, and rightfully so. Right, he had to keep a board in play that would save him HP, but he also had to hold units for the future. So hopefully he's able to start hitting some of the units that'll help him win because he's not going to be making much econ this turn. But he should be able to make that 10 gold threshold. He's going to swap out the Alawi because Jarvan's way better with Warmogs, and I think his early game is going to stabilize off of that Warmogs.
Right. It's looking a little bit better now. We're going to move over and check out Slooper here, who is also thinking a Star Guardian Sorks. And he's got that Hextech Gunblade, which is becoming a core item on Syndra. I think Blue Buff Hextech are kind of the 2 core items on Syndra, and then the third item is kind of up for grabs right now, it feels like.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. With the changes to Gunblade and also the changes to Syndra, her in combination with this item is just so potent. The change to Syndra a few patches ago was that she sort of doesn't overkill with her orbs, so she kills one unit with her orbs, the rest of the orbs go to another unit. And Gunblade, in conjunction with Blue Buff, means she gets so many shields. So sometimes you'll see a Blue Buff Syndra like kill an entire team of 2 stars just at 1 star. So once he gets a Blue Buff online, he's going to be in a great spot. The only thing I'd be worried about, though, if I were him, is getting good tank items on the Nico, because the Nico is just as, if not more important than the Syndra mid and late game.
Oh, yeah. Late game especially. I mean, the Nico is going to be really important because that's going to be where a lot of your damage and crowd control comes from, too. But, you know, if you can just live long enough, if you can just, like, deal enough damage to get everybody low, then you get those great moments where Syndra, like, kills, like, 3 people at once, you know?
Mm-hmm. And it feels so good when that happens. It feels so good.
Definitely.
But right now...
60... Yeah. So 61 right now. Going up against Slooper. And so it's a battle of the Star Guardians. But the itemization looking a little bit better on double 61 side. But I feel like at some point you're going to want to try to pick up a Rakan or maybe that Jin Zhao too if you can find a complete one and move those items over to the Nico, huh?
Yeah, you're totally right. I think generally, speaking, the way people play this comp is you have J4, assuming he hit 2, hold the items until you have a Nico 2, because J4 is just as effective with these items early. You just really want it on an upgraded protector. And then once Nico 2 is there and you have Warmogs for her, she can solo frontline. Arguably, she can solo frontline now, but why sacrifice a J4 when he's already 2-starred? So... yeah, if I'm KC double 61, I'm feeling really nice about the spot I'm in. I feel good about my Nico items, and now I'm just focused on getting some backlines so that we can kill some things.
Yeah, well, that's a really good point, actually, and that's something to kind of keep in mind if you're a newer player, too, is that there's this temptation, right, to get your items on the carry as fast as possible, but sometimes it's better to just kind of wait, and, like, even though you've got the carry, you don't necessarily have the strength to make the transition. Going from a 2-star Jarvan to a 1-star Nico is kind of a downgrade if you don't have like another 2-star to shore things up a little bit.
Absolutely, and that was actually a really good Krug round for Slooper, because not only did he get a GA, which is a solid use of Chain, he also got another Nico from the Orb, right? So he's only 1 Nico off of Nico 2, and if he manages to natural a Nico, that's a huge high roll that will basically secure him until he goes level 8.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to swap over to VOLTARIUX right now, who had such a dominant day yesterday, but just hasn't been able to produce those same results today, whether it's the stress or the rolls or the lobby. It's hard to say because we know he's a great player, but maybe if the day goes long enough, he can, you know, make something happen here. Going up against JUANZI, who's also had a rough day for sure, but manages to find a win there. And we are starting to see a little bit of a separation in the pack here, about 20 HP different between 4th place and 8th place, which, you know, is a lot for round 3-1. SLOOPER suffering a little bit. We'll see if maybe he can catch it up again. Oh, wait, no, that's like 37 for SLOOPER. Oh, wait, no, it's a little bit blurry on my screen. Maybe it is 57. I can't read.
I can't read either, but somehow 2 illiterates got to cast today. But
Hey,
VOLTARIUX,
as long as we can count up to 11, we're good.
Right? That's all you need. Look at the pretty pictures. But I wonder if VOLTARIUX is actually playing a little too flexibly here. This is now a 3rd or 4th game. We've seen him run some sort of Rebel variant. And although I think it's fine to play this flexible style to top 4, VOLTARIUX needs to do better than top 4 if he's going to win this tournament. He actually needs 6 points to be put in the 18-point range, and then he needs a 1st place. So he needs to take a 3rd, and this comp is not great at doing that. So I think there's obviously something to be said for playing flexibly, but sometimes you just need to play a certain comp that's going to get you a higher placement. So I actually question the comp selection by VOLTARIUX, and I think he needs to play a little bit riskier considering that the whole game can end now.
Yeah, you know, you're absolutely right, because when it comes down to it in this particular scenario, you really need to change the style that you're approaching the game based on the points in the lobby, which is interesting because you get certain situations where it's like, okay, I know I need to play for a 1st now, I know I need to play for a top 4 now, but this is a situation where, you know, you need to catch up in points big time, right? And so in order to really have a chance, you can't wait. Like, you can't just play consistently like we know VOLTARIUX is really good with, to get those top 4s and get those consistent 4s. He needs to actually like get big points now to stay relevant, basically. And so we will see what he can do against his fellow Frenchman, Double 61. Double 61 has the Jarvan, and he's got just great Nico items on there. And as you can see, he's still just waiting for that Nico 2 to be able to make that swap from the Jarvan to the item as far as Nico's items go. But it's enough to take down VOLTARIUX, and he is going to continue to kind of struggle a little bit in the middle of the pack. As we see SLOOPER taking some damage, a little bit of last round scouting. And let's go ahead and take a look at JUANZI here. This is a player that was kind of puzzling, and I had mentioned earlier that I felt that overall Lobby 1 was stronger than Lobby 2. And while going into this game, we did have 2 players from Lobby 1 and 2 players from Lobby 2 in the top 4, so arguably that is even. If you go a little bit farther than that, it is lopsidedly in favor of Lobby 1 right now, and it would seem that the struggles that JUANZI and ALPHAGO are having today might kind of indicate that. It sounds like you've got Primal back. You're back! Yay!
I'm back! Pleasures of remote casting. But yeah, to your point about JUANZI, he's been struggling today. That said, the position he is in looks a little bit more familiar. He's at 100 HP, hasn't dropped a single round, and he's playing something different. He's trying to play Cybers, which I love, considering his items. Cybers is an excellent comp that can definitely take a 1st. And when you're win streaking against Cybers and you already have the items you need, you're really loving that spot. That said, I would like to see him get 1, maybe 2 bows so he can get a Giant Slayer, because if you don't even have a single Giant Slayer with Cybers, you fall off hard when you start facing Nikos late game. But overall, I like that JUANZI is sort of mixing it up a little bit, showing his flexibility as a player, and trying to sort of play what he's given rather than what he'd prefer.
Yeah, we kind of need that from him, too. He didn't play any Cyber games yesterday. As you well know, he played 2 games of Mech, he played 3 games of Space Pirates. So I felt like we didn't really honestly get a very good look at his, level of play in general. And there's the first HP loss for him, suffering that against SHOEMAKER. But yeah, we know he's got to play more comps than just those. So Cybernetics, a good standard way to go.
Absolutely, and he is so rich right now, Doa. He's level 7, 69 a gold, and he is in a solid spot unit-wise. Again, the only issue is his items. I think he'll be okay if he gets an Infinity Edge in Last Whisper, but he won't be in like okay, this is a 1st place position. But so long as he's not super contested, we should expect him to hit his units with this much gold. I see there's already a Vayne 2 in the lobby, but I think that's the only Vayne 2 out there. So from a financial perspective, JUANZI he's doing awesome. But from an item perspective, especially since we see multiple players going Nico carry, he's going to need to do a little bit better.
Right. And I mean, you've got some time. We've talked before about how you can spend your hit points as resources as well if you need to kind of, wait, save up, wait for some items to drop off the next neutral round, that kind of thing. But he could also level very aggressively too. So I'm curious to see what stance he takes. Where does he want to just go ahead and hit a fast 8? I feel like that'd be pretty good. Finds the Aurelia, that's kind of nice as we go into the infiltrator round.
Yeah, this is an interesting decision point to your question about whether he should fast 8. I suspect that his board is a little bit weak, and he might lose a lot of HP going into and waiting until 4-3. So it might not be the worst idea in the world to just roll a little bit of interest since he's so wealthy to preserve some HP for later in the game. But it sort of depends on what items he hits here. Looks like he hits 2 belts in a tier, which is not awesome. So yeah, he did not get the items he needs by a long shot. He actually has way better items for Star Guardians, so I'd like to see if he's open to pivoting, even though he already has the last Whisper on him. But yeah, these are not the items you want to see if you're JUANZI. And he is choosing to just go 8, say, okay, I'm just gonna go 8, get some natural rolls at level 8 to get good units, and we'll sort of sit until we can get good items off of carousels.
Yeah, I think you're kind of committed, too, with what we see in the rest of the lobby. I think we've got 2 different Star Guardians players already, so it'd be tough to make that transition, even if you saw a couple of the 1-stars in the shop right now, But when I look at these items, I kind of think to myself, yeah, you've got Thieves' Gloves for Aurelia, which is awesome, but you've got the ability to put Redemption on your Fiora or a different champion. You've got some of the good Cybernetics items, and by leveling, you have that higher chance of hitting the Echo, so it's awkward, and you can tell by the look on his face he's not happy, but if he can just hold on a little bit longer, I think he's got a chance of maybe bringing it back.
Agreed. When you're in this position where you've been win streaking, you have a lot of HP, you have a lot of money, it just requires discipline and an understanding that if the game goes long enough, you will get some lucky breaks, right? You'll find things like an Echo 2 eventually. You'll get good items off of the full item carousels. So although it's frustrating, he just needs to keep get the 1 to 2 extra damage items he needs on Vayne. And Aurelia with Thieves' Glove is an excellent carry in the meantime. So if he can hit Aurelia 2, she might be able to do the work that Vayne cannot.
Dude, right now, we're looking at KC61, and he is 2 Syndras away from finding that Syndra 3. And now Slooper is looking at this board, and he's like, oh, so that's where all my Syndras went. Double 61 is taking them all. The rich get richer.
Right.
It's going to be tough to complete the Syndra 3, but just holding them from Slooper is really strong.
It is. And at this point, KC double 61 is a problem, Doa. He's in first place. He's win streaking, he's hitting his units, he's hitting his items, and this guy is about to end the tournament if people don't start paying attention, doing whatever they can to put a brakes on the KC double 61 train. Oh,
all right.
No.
The rich just literally keep getting richer. Like, he finds the Janna. Do you pivot into 6 Star Guardians here? Do you give up a couple protectors?
I think at this point, might as well. Once you have the Janna, you pretty much immediately get stronger. But I guess he's making the judgment call that he needs the front line more than he needs the back line. So I think that's a totally fine call as well. Also, sometimes if the call is borderline, it's he's on a 9-round win streak. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
And he has plenty of time to eventually get that Janna in once he takes the time to actually think about, hey, is this a stronger board or not? So it's a great question. I'm not sure the question of the answer, but he has the luxury of time and money and HP.
I think you're absolutely right. He has got nothing but luxury right now with all those resources, the HP, the gold, the champions that he's got on his belt already. And I think what you said that matters the most is if it's not broke, don't fix it. Because it kind of comes back to what I was talking about earlier. We're transitioning one item from, or transitioning items from one champion to another, making sure you're doing that at the right time. Transitioning your comps at the right time is another big part of it as well, of course, right? Where you have the ability to bring what you see as the final form of your comp online, but you need to make sure you do it in a way that doesn't make your board weaker than the existing one. I think in this case he's saying, you know, hey, I'm win streaking. What is he, like 10 in a row right now? So why swap? You know, why not wait to make changes until you need to? Oh my
exactly.
goodness!
And oh my
Syndra
god,
away.
another
Whoa.
Syndra. Okay, this is a high roll. This is definitely a high roll game.
Yeah.
And he's got to be pretty
Soccer
happy
too?
right now. Yep, hitting the Nico too. And at this point, you know, the only thing that's
Yep.
stopping him from just running away with this whole game is the fact that he doesn't have a mana generation item. So he's definitely going to look to take that on Carousel. I would like to see other players start to just straight up deny him. Because if they don't straight up deny him, he's going to deny them a world championship.
So I didn't actually see that he only had a Nico 1 still, and that makes a lot more sense. That's a much better reason than not transition when he did. But now that he's got this Nico 2, this comp should be very much online. And if he hits the Syndra 3, I think it's all over, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, not only is he sort of high rolling the units, other people are low rolling, right? We're seeing a Vayne here who doesn't have a Giant Slayer, so she can't cut through the Nico. I think when we looked at JUANZI, he also was far away from a Giant Slayer. So this is sort of a perfect storm that is starting to brew for double 61. I'm not sure what it's going to take to stop him. No one scanning over the lobby looks strong enough to beat him right now. So this is getting pretty scary if you're anyone but double, but really exciting if you're anyone from France, except VOLTARIUX, I guess.
I actually think in a way it would be so poetically perfect for old school Star Guardian Sorcerer to win the set 3 championships, because that was one of the strong builds that came up early on in the set, nerfed into oblivion, and then for it to come back and win in the end just seems like a nice story arc for the Star Guardians, I think, in set 3, because if you look at the itemization as he plays against ALPHAGO here, this is OG itemizations, right? The GA on the Nico, the GA on the Syndra. He's kind of bringing back some of the old things to make it happen, and another big win for him. Looking a bit unstoppable right now.
He's on a 12-round streak, man. Who's going to stop him? Who's going to stop him? He's going to get so much more gold now. He can just look to straight go 9 and look for a Janna 2 there. And then, honestly, it doesn't even matter what items he has if he's hitting everything. He could just choose to stay at 8 and roll for the Syndra because he's only 1 away to sort of dictate what decision he makes. He should scout around the lobby and see how many Syndras are gone. But him keeping the streak rolling into 4-7 is a huge deal because now he has the option to just go straight to 9 if he doesn't feel good about staying on 8.
Well, the luxury as well that he's got, yet another one, is that there's a couple other players in this lobby that are trying Star Guardians, at least one, if not one more than that. And if they're low enough, he can kind of just wait till that person gets kicked out and then try to find the Syndra, you know? He's got the HP to do it.
Absolutely. He's got the HP to do pretty much whatever the hell he wants at this point. And at this point, I'm wondering who in the lobby can stop him. Maybe JUANZI. I mean, JUANZI stayed pretty stable in second place. I saw a Vayne with a Giant Slayer, so that's what you would need to take care of this Nico. Unfortunately, any Last Wishers are actually going to be pretty wasted here because Nico does not have any armor items. A Zephyr, though. That can make a difference. That's big.
Nico being taken out, you cannot allow that to happen. He's got a position better than that in the future, playing against JUANZI, who's currently in second place, and one of the people that might be able to end this run. Pretty big Fizz ult, and oh my, I think he's got it. Oh, but the Syndra comes back from the GA. Nico there to do the damage, but this Aurelia is just too much, right? Yeah.
Now, I think the Nico can 1v2. I mean, at the end of the day, there's not any sort of big percentage health abilities to kill her, but I think unfortunately the lack of damage from the backline is going to mean that Nico goes down, and that shows you we found a chink in the armor, Doa. It's the lack of a Quicksilver sash on this Nico.
Yeah, so that's the thing, is now going forward he needs to be very aware of when he's going to be playing JUANZI to try to avoid that Zephyr, because I think undoubtedly if the Nico wouldn't have been Zephyred, that would have been a round that double 61 would have won.
And if you're the rest of the lobby, you're breathing a sigh of relief, and you've probably also identified, okay, this is the one thing that he doesn't have besides a blue buff. He does not have any way to deal with Zephyr, and it looks like there are multiple players who do have Zephyrs. Unfortunately, BOBAE, I guess, did not identify that he could Zephyr the Nico because he has a Thresh with Zephyr, but on the back line. So I think pretty much any fight where you don't Zephyr the Nico is just going to be a 9-0, right? Like we see here, it's a pretty easy fight for double 61, despite not having mana generation. And goodbye, BOBAE.
BOBAE is out. SHOEMAKER is out. ALPHAGO dropped 1 round earlier. There's another Nico. Obviously, Nico 3 is big too. I'm trying to remember who the other Star Guardian player was, if it was SLOOPER or if it was SHOEMAKER. If it was SHOEMAKER, that's pretty big because that frees up some Nikos. We're looking at VOLTARIUX' perspective as well as he scouts around a little bit, and I think I saw that was SLOOPER that had the Star Guardians. It was hard to see because it's kind of small, but it is SLOOPER. Okay, yeah. So if SLOOPER gets knocked out, then that kind of paves the way for double 61 to get the Syndra 3, maybe even the Nico 3, and close out the lobby.
So this is interesting. SLOOPER actually has better items on his Syndra than Double has on his. So this is actually a matchup where just in the straight head-to-head, SLOOPER might be stronger, even though against the rest of the lobby, it might be that Double is stronger. So depending on RNG, and just as I say RNG, double 61, Syndra just zeroes out the other Syndra. But depending on RNG, SLOOPER can win that matchup.
So think about this for a second, that actually the fact that SLOOPER had better items, specifically a mana item on his Syndra, makes his comp worse in the 1v1, because in the 1v1 between Star Guardian players, you want to be the Syndra that casts second, because you get more orbs, because the Syndras use the other Syndra's orbs when they ultimate. So because the mana item was on SLOOPER's side, his Syndra casted faster and got the weaker first ultimate, which ultimately, you know, is going to make a big difference in terms of the damage the Syndras are doing throughout the fight. So weirdly enough, better items is worse in the mirror matchup.
Yep. When that happens and you see your Syndra just dies, you just say, okay, well, player difference. You say that sarcastically and you just move on, because unfortunately by that point there's not much you can do. But look, there is the Syndra 3 in the contested matchup. So double 61's got to be feeling really good. The only thing he needs to complete Exodia is to get a mana item on either the Syndra or Janna, and then he is going to be lit and looking at potentially being the first TFT World Champion. So really, really scary position if you're anyone else in the lobby.
Also got to shout out that Guardian Angel in that last fight too to bring the Syndra back, keep the ults going. But yeah, this Syndra 3 should be insanely scary for everybody else in the lobby. Also, the QSS on Janna means that she's going to be undisturbed while she gets that cast off. VOLTARIUX getting wrecked. Oh boy,
that was
Primal. Are we going to actually see it end here? We've
might
still got
be,
a lot of rounds to go, but
yeah, I mean, he's at 79 HP. The next closest guy is half his HP, not even. So at this point, now that he already has a Syndra 3, you can't even deny him by holding his units, right? He's looking to look for an ASOL 2, which would make him extremely strong in the mirror matchup, because ASOL 2 would straight drain all the mana from the enemy Star Guardians. So Double not only has the game in a really good spot right now, he's thinking about what are the ways I could actually lose the game and positioning for it. I'd like to see him pay a little bit more attention to the Zephyrs on the front line. There we go. He slams a Rakan in the middle. Really smart play, because generally people will try to Zephyr directly in the middle.
Yep, Zephyr on the Syndra, though, so his carry gets, or one of his carries anyway, gets Zephyred this time. Does it matter, though, because Nico does a lot of CC. Does it matter?
I think the answer is no.
Probably not.
You think probably not? Yeah, because here's the problem, right?
Yeah.
The Vayne doesn't seem to have the tools to kill anything. Oh, I'm wrong. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Dope.
So one of the really small things during that fight is the Vayne positioning versus the Janna positioning. There were a couple Janna ultimates that didn't hit the Vayne, and so because of that, Vayne got a lot of time free firing into the team, which I think kind of tipped the balance in the favor of the Cybernetics player. Kind of surprising to see, but you know, we know double 61 he's mortal, you know, but is he beatable? That's the question.
Yeah, and part of it's going to rely on what items come up for double 61. I do think if he has a mana item there, despite his Syndra getting Zephyred, the Syndra still cleans up. But the lack of the mana item plus the Zephyr, I think, bought just enough time for JUANZI to win. Conversely, though, if JUANZI can pick up some Giant Slayers so he can cut through the Nico a little bit more quickly, that could be a saving grace for him. So part of this is looking for the correct items on the carousel, or maybe someone got something from Kane. And part of it's going to come down to Zephyrs. The thing is, though, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I don't think Double 61 is going to allow himself to get Zephyred like that again.
That's a Jinx 3, but he doesn't have enough gold, and he's on 13 HP. He might still die.
There it is.
Had to sell just to get it. 7 of 8, picks up a Jace just to fill the board, but is this Jinx 3 going to carry? VOLTARIUX has been relying on Rebels all day. It seems like kind of a comfort comp that he defaults to in a lot of games. At least he got an easy matchup this time around.
Yeah. And although generally Rebels is not viewed as one of the strongest comps, if you hit a Jinx 3, it kind of makes up for any, inadequacies that it has.
It does.
And if you hit an ASOL 2, it's actually quite good versus Star Guardians, because the combination of the shield from Rebels, meaning that you don't get burst down as quickly, and the mana drain from the ASOL means that he has the tools to actually deal with the Nico. In addition to all of that, he also has the Giant Slayer on the Jinx to deal with her.
Right, so VOLTARIUX lurking in 4th place with a chance to bring it back in a big way. We're going to check back in with Double 61 now to see if he can close out this game and be the TFT Galaxies Champion. He's got the tools. He's got a lot on his bench as well, too. He's kind of preparing to be able to make some late-game swaps depending on his opponent. Playing against VOLTARIUX. So here's the matchup that we were just talking about right now. Can this ASOL do it?
Oh, that Jinx, man. She is... oh, my God. She is hitting like a truck. The Jinx basically just one-shots the front line at this point. So VOLTARIUX, although he doesn't have that much HP, Double 61's life bar is decreasing pretty rapidly, and we just saw how someone can win this matchup against this super stacked team. But there's a Janna too. I think it'll make a difference, but not as much of a difference. Oh, Xerath too as well, as mana items would.
Pretty good. Yeah,
that's
so
pretty
he
good
finds
though.
The Janna 2 and the Xerath 2, yeah, those are 2 pretty large pickups here. But that Jinx 3 just does so much damage so fast, like you said. It's going to be close, but I'm not as confident as I was a moment ago. Trying to dodge those Zephyrs, he does do just that. No Zephyrs on this Ghost board anyway.
Yeah. And part of the problem for Double is, again, he doesn't have mana items, so he's casting a little bit more slowly than you would normally expect. Oh no, is that JUANZI taking out VOLTARIUX?
That would be crazy.
VOLTARIUX in the corner with the Jinx. Okay, the Jinx manages to carry him. Okay, I got a little scared there, because if VOLTARIUX ended up dying to JUANZI, it could have just been that the game ends, because I'm not sure that JUANZI can take out Double. So I think right now, if you want this tournament to keep going forward, the protagonist is VOLTARIUX.
Pretty much. Like, he's bringing it back. He's the anime protagonist of this particular lobby, And the thing is like, VOLTARIUX, if he takes down Double 61, yeah, sure, he keeps the game going for himself, but it's kind of a betrayal of the EU region in general, isn't it?
I think it is, but at this point, all national affiliations drop off, and it's like, hey, I'm about to be the first TFT World Champion. So I think right now everyone's just focused on how do I beat the guy in front of me and keep my tournament dream alive. Of course, Double holding on to deal life. He's finally hit a mana item, so he does have a Shoujins on Syndra. It's not ideal. You want a blue buff, but it's still a fantastic item to put on her. I'm surprised that he put it on her instead of the Janna, but I think it's still really good. Oh, and the really good Zephyr cheese by JUANZI. Really good.
I mean, that's what he wanted, right? So can the Stringer cast? Can the Echo finish off? I think the Janna's already down. Zephyr getting a couple shots off, but not a lot. This is going to be close. Oh, the Lulu ult. The Lulu ult maybe did it.
Oh, the Lulu ult keeps him in there. And despite the Zephyr cheese,
oh my goodness,
Double,
he did it. Is Double 61, TFT Galaxies Champion, 16 years old, getting it done all the way through all the qualifiers. I am amazed. What a great level of play we saw all day. Getting it done with our favorite build, I would say, Star Guardians. You wrote one of the original guides. I've played a ton of it too. It's my favorite, and it ends up the comp that wins it all. Double 61, your Teamfight Tactics Galaxies Champion. How about that?
Absolutely incredible from Double 61. I'm so impressed by how this guy continues to evolve over the course of a tournament. He's refining his play, researching his opponents, gets better and better. And if we talk about Faker of TFT, Faker won his first world title at, what, 15, 16, Double 16. Yeah. So this might be the start of a legacy for this player.
Could be. I mean, either way, he has got a lot of years remaining in his esports career if he decides to go down that path. And with a start like this, how could you not? We're going to say goodbye to you, Primal, because I've got to send it over to Mort for some analysis. Can't wait to see what he's got to say about these games. See you later.
Thanks, Noah. Yeah, I just really want to talk about that final game and Casey's win here and the Star Guardian comp. So we'll start off at the beginning and how well he was playing it, being flexible into his options. He knew what he was going for here. He was going for that first place Star Guardian comp that everyone perceives as strong. He used the Jarvan correctly as a strong front line. And you can see here at 3-6, he's already on a 6-game win streak. And this is paying off big for him because he's getting tons of gold from Plunder Planet. He's going to keep the win streak going into a PvE round. And this is going to give him so much economy that he's going to be able to take this and flex into a bunch of things he might not have been able to on, say, a normal Galaxy or without that much gold, including like the 3-star Syndra that was key. And so what we see here at 4-5 is when he finally hits the pieces he's looking for, how quickly he transitions into it. Because again, he knew exactly what he wanted. As soon as he hit that Nico 3, we see just the skill at how fastly he changes this into the 6-star Guardian comp. And again, he knew his win condition here. He needed to win the game to win the tournament. And he had that comp in mind. He knew what he was doing, ready to transition, and we see it with such speed. I also wanted to call out this fight of Syndra versus Syndra, where a lot of people talk about RNG, and I heard the casters talk about how, you know, the other Syndra had better items. But in this matchup, I think the Gunblade is actually very bad here. It keeps the other Syndra at full health. So that means with the Syndra's always targeting the thing with the most health. As soon as this Syndra comes back from GA, one-shots the enemy Syndra and allows him to win this fight. So that GA was a really key itemization here. And then, again, I just want to highlight Casey's skill here. Look how fast he rolls down. A boomer like me, no way I could do this. He just rolls down so fast, knows exactly what he's looking for, and this just shows some of the skill he is and how quickly he goes, okay, 2 Lulus, bam, sell, buy, I'm in there. Again, really just showing why he is the best player right now. And then the last thing I have to call out here is, again, the win condition here was keep KC out from winning, and they let him have the Shojin. Why would you let him have the Shojin on that Syndra? That could have been the difference. You've got to deny that Shojin. I can't believe that. So, anyway, that's going to do it for me. Thank you for everybody, and congrats again to KC Double. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Mort, for your insight today. Thank you, Whitrock, for the insight yesterday. And we will be hearing from Giovanni tomorrow ahead of Fades. But we have a champion on our hands, everybody. 3 straight wins for KC Double 61, reigning from Europe to be the first official here in the Galaxy Championship. I'm going to start off over with Crowan there. I know you're watching on the sideline alongside me. What are your initial thoughts on him being able to have such a consistent performance here today?
What else is there to say besides KC Double 61 is the best TFT player in the world, winning 3 games in a row in the finals.
3 in a row to take it, and he did end up bringing a different comp to the table here too. There it is on your screen, the winning champion of it all. Whew. I know I'm still taking a little bit of a breather off that Doa. I'm sure you are as well. A lot of excitement in the final moments.
Oh, I'm hyped. Like, no mech in that last one, but Star Guardian Sorcerer is all you need to take home $40,000, which is exactly what KC Double just did. France was popping off on Twitter. All the other French players have got a great, huge community of a lot of really talented TFT gamers over there. And I'm sure they're psyched to see their countrymen take home the championship. And he did it. He did it in style. He played great. He won 3 in a row to do this. How crazy is that?
Absolutely crazy, especially considering the start to it all. With the prizing, you just saw who are taking the largest slices from today's finalists, but don't worry, for those that competed yesterday and weren't quite able to make it, they also go home with something in their pocket. And Becca, as Doa just said, it's so difficult to be able to take a win in all three of those. When you're trying to handle the pressure in that scenario, especially we're looking at the future of KC61's career, what is that like when really trying to secure the win in that position? Somebody else also trying to do the same, as Lev D was also with above 18 points.
I gotta say too, I just noticed someone just let me know. Sorry, Becca. Someone just let me know that Champion du Monde is trending on French Twitter right now. So everybody pretty psyched about that. That means Champion of the World, by the way. I don't speak French, but I know that much at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think he just played like he had nothing to lose. He saw he was contested. He didn't care. And I think in a lot of his wins, he plays a lot of the mana comps. So like him and Teemo 3 seem to have like an affinity for each other. So I mean, he just killed it. Yeah, and what does a 16-year-old do with $40,000?
Save for the future. and buy a couple little Legends eggs, you know.
Yeah, buy some eggs, I guess. I think you got like 10 little Legend eggs anyway.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, congrats to him.
Whenever people wonder what people should use with their prize pools, I feel like you're always wanting some kind of exciting answer, but in the end, it's just like, saving it is probably the best thing to do. And in that last game, I mean, KC Double ended up having a strong performance throughout, but as you all said, he was contested for that composition. Doa, do you think at any point that he had a worry, because his streak did get a little wavery there towards the end?
You know, he lost a couple rounds here and there, but I don't think he had a whole lot to worry about. He found everything he needed really fast. I mean, the only thing that was really holding him back is something that Mort pointed out, which was no mana item on the Syndra. And so it was kind of crazy that they let him have the Spear of Shojin at the end. I know the other two players, you know, they're thinking about their own comps. They're thinking about what do I need to win. But you got to kind of flip that too and think about, is there anything I can deny to keep him from winning? And so maybe sealing that Shojin would have been enough. Tough to say, but it certainly would have helped.
A very strong performance from him here today and everybody that came to the table. The thing is, this is the first championship for TFT, being the Galaxy Championship, which is kind of setting the stage for what we can expect in future composition. Crowan, having someone like a young talent come through and be able to grab that winning title, along with those others that are able to put their regions on the map, what do you think this means for where we go from here, especially with a new set on the horizon?
I mean, personally, you know, being a competitor myself, I'm just so excited for what's in store for the future of TFT esports. This is a great event, and having a world champion, someone like Double 61, who's so young, it shows so much promise for, you know, younger players as well, because you sort of, you know, meme sometimes that TFT is, you know, it's a bit more appealing to players of older age, but, you know, younger competitors still got it, still the best in the world, so excited for what the future holds.
It ain't a boomer game. Zoomers are welcome here too. And we're talking about what's on the horizon. And the thing is, as far as the event in total, this isn't the end of what we have in store for TFT, being that tomorrow we have the Fates Showcase. Looking forward to that a bit. Becca, I know that you mentioned it's kind of difficult balancing staying engaged with Galaxy when we're also looking forward to that. What are you looking forward to most when you're joining the broadcast tomorrow?
I think that the players will not have played much set 4, even though it's been out for a few days, because they've probably been focusing on set 3. So I'm excited to see them just really scramble together comps, because there's a lot of new things and a lot of different mechanics. So that's what I'm looking forward to for tomorrow.
I think that's probably one of the most exciting things about the showcase, is everyone kind of coming in on that same page of unknowing. But we as an audience have gotten to see the players in action today, as it is the same 8 that will be competing tomorrow. Doa, we obviously know that KC Double is going to be coming in strong. If you had to pick out players that you expect to bring that experimentation right off the bat, maybe that unconventional approach to a new set, who do you think it's going to be?
I think I would look at players like SHOEMAKER. He played a lot of different stuff. He seemed to be good at pivoting, at making decisions on the fly. BOBAE brought out some really unique stuff as well. All these players are obviously good, and it's a brand new set, so there's going to be a lot of experimentation. I've probably played more games of set 4 than they have, so they're just lucky that I'm not in that lobby, because I would crush them. But I'm going to enjoy watching them playing as well, you know. Gotta be fair.
That's why we made sure to end up securing you on the casting desk so that you can't go and blow them out of the water. But it's
So kind.
so great to have you all here. Yes, it's such a wonderful past 2 days, right? And lots to come. Quick words from Crowan. Anything that you'd like to say to the TFT audience?
Oh man, TFT audience, just, thank you all for watching and supporting. This is huge. Going back to just TFT esports, I've been a competitor of esports for so many years, and it's just great being able to be here, part of the casting team and sort of telling that narrative and telling that story to you also. Just thanks for the opportunity. Glad to be here.
Yeah, and Becca, I know you said you're warming up to casting as well, getting to do that frequently here today in some of the qualifiers. What was this like for you, getting to be in the spectator seat more?
It's actually really nerve-wracking having to think of or verbalize everything I'm thinking on the fly, but it was definitely a great experience, and I'm glad so many of you guys were patient with us, like everyone who's new to casting. And it's really awesome that someone so young won TFT, because you think of TFT and you think of like maybe an older generation, maybe like a little slower, but I'm glad.
You just need a big brain.
Yeah, younger people are playing, and it makes me hopeful for the game.
We saw some moments, Ach in particular, in the first lobby yesterday doing some quick click-ins. So I don't know about that slow business. Some pretty fast moves being made here. Doa, it looks like, I know a lot of chat were mentioning Warhammer being set up in the back, but I'm sure it's going to be Fates that you end up playing
Wait, that
after.
size. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's that right over there.
If I can get my wife to play a game with me, then yeah, we'll be. Otherwise, it's just kind of a office ornament right now. But yeah, but it's, man, what a great weekend. And like you said, we're not done yet, right? Because we've got the Set 4 showcase tomorrow. That's going to be fantastic. But just a huge shout out to all the TFT fans for supporting all the different tournaments throughout the year. We had Giant Slayer running a whole bunch of those. At TLC9 ran tournaments. A lot of great organizations. Fandom all the way last year, and Set 2 already running tournaments. And so it really is like, the fans and the TOs and the players building this scene from the ground up, and it's cool to see it come to this point. And we're not done yet at all. Set 4 tomorrow.
Yep. Congratulations to everybody that has been involved. Doa, Crowan, and Becken will be joining you again tomorrow alongside Ovely. But for me, that does it for our festivities. It has been a wonderful time. So until next time, friends, good morning, afternoon, evening, and good night.